Okay, so this is my second attempt at doing a video about my thoughts on well-being and comedy, and how I think that comedy can be used to kind of help um, facilitate well-being. And there are a number of well-being models, and I think the ones that interest me are mental, so intellectual well-being, and also which is all about like creativity and having keeping kind of mentally sharp, and that helping to create a sense of a good feeling, fulfillment, and satisfaction. Because if you feel that mentally, that kind of leaks out to the rest of your the rest of your life, as it were. The other one is like physical, and there's also spiritual, and I think that comedy definitely factors into that mental well-being, in that it keeps you mentally sharp, but it also ticks a lot of boxes for creativity and for also social well-being, which is another big one that I think that comedy keys into, because it is ultimately a deviation of societal acceptance. Doing stand-up, it's a form of gaining social approval. That's kind of where it kind of stems from. And there's a couple of reasons why I think that it works. Firstly, because of that, it's ticking all those well-being boxes, but also because on Jungian psychology, he says that once you're put in front of a crowd, in front of someone other, you go from the self to the and apply a persona, and a comic persona is generally a quite a light-hearted one. It also means that you are creating a pressure, because comedy is creating pressure. So you're in control of pressures rather than a lot of anxiety and anxiety-based depressions being affected by external pressures. You, in creating a comic persona in which you are in charge and creating that pressure, it's not only puts you in a powerful position, but it also allows for you to engage with various topics and own them, in inverted commas. It allows for you to be able to talk about them, which can be incredibly cathartic. And Carl Jung says that once you do go into persona, you present certain aspects of yourself, and you also send certain aspects of yourself into the subconscious, and create what's called the shadow. And I believe that when you are in your comic persona, you are sending aspects of yourself into the subconscious, which can be incredibly cathartic to not have to deal with those for a brief period of time, as long as you don't end up using this as a crutch. But also, according to Forbes magazine, it is like threefold, which means that not only are you allowing yourself to, one, talk about the issue, two, you are able to cognitively potentially change how you view that issue by talking about it, by exploring that within a different context, one that you have control over. But also, you get that third prong, which is that you get the laugh and the societal acceptance. So that's kind of my thoughts on well-being and comedy, and why I think that comedy is actually quite very useful for that, for a tool that can be used to assist well-being, certainly in a secondary manner. I think the thing that makes it hard is that comedy is a is one subjective but also a feeling. It's a non-literary sensation along with a literary genre, and there are various problems not only with pinning that down but also in it being quite a light-hearted genre. Once you start sticking it with something that is less light-hearted, it can create problems in terms of ethical conduct. But there is I think that comedy has long been used to talk about things that are taboo. So maybe it's just that using comedy for mental health and well-being is the next step in terms of mental health becoming less taboo, and comedy is the vehicle for that.